Welcome back to the Today with Tally podcast. Folks, we have a great show in store for you today. We're going to sit down with John Fabbricatore out of Aurora, Colorado. We are honored to be joined by John Fabbricatore. How are you, sir?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me back on the show. I really appreciate it.
Man, the pleasure and the honor is all mine. Look, before we get started, we get started here. I know you were you threw your hat in Colorado Congressional District 6. And even though you weren't elected, you're still basically doing the job of a congressman right now in your own district in Aurora. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, because look, leadership is important, right? And just because you lose a race doesn't mean you stop being a leader in your community. And, I stepped up to be a congressional candidate. I may not have won that seat, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop fighting for Colorado, fighting for the people in the 6th congressional district, and fighting for just everyone that needs to be fought for. And there's plenty of people that do.
Absolutely. We're coming off of 4 years of absolute chaos, utter chaos in our country, from sea to shining sea. From north, east, south, and west, primarily that south being the southern border. Millions of illegal aliens have poured across. In part, we have a lot of transnational organizations, transnational criminal organizations that have set up shop right here in the United States of America with no pushback. It's as if they were welcome. With zero accountability and transparency to where these folks are, how they're operating, and how deadly the game they're playing is.
Yeah, this administration let people in, lightly vetted, if not at all vetted. I mean, we had a ton of gotaways get in. And the ones that weren't gotaways, when they came through to be interviewed by Border Patrol, the vetting was horrible because of this administration, not because of the job that the Border Patrol did. They were given orders on what they had to do to vet these people, and they were told to get them through the door as quick as possible. And with that, we allowed in a lot of criminals, a ton of criminals. We're starting to see that pop up, especially here in Aurora, Colorado, where we've had an issue with Tren de Aragua. But all through the United States, over 17 states are showing presence with Tren de Aragua. And we've seen terrorists come in. There's been multiple terrorists stopped after getting notices from Interpol. There's been other, illegal aliens that have been arrested for multiple crimes, DUIs involving death. I mean, you name it. We've had people imported in this country to commit more crimes against United States citizens.
Right. And your background is just that. It's public safety. You were in the military for years, and, you work for the feds, and, you've done a lot of good, honorable work over the years, and you're wanting to continue that service in Congress. You would have represented the same district in Colorado where Jason Crow is the member of Congress. Now, I know he was in the military too. Did this guy not take the same oath that you and I took?
I don't know. I hate attacking Jason on his military service because, we've all been in the military, you, me, Jason. But we all know that there are guys that come out of the military and they just go left of center far. And Jason did. I mean, Congressman Crow is not a moderate. You really got to look at his record. He is as far left as you can be. He's left of AOC. He's in line with Nancy Pelosi on everything he votes for. While he may have had honorable military service, I believe his congressional service is trash. And I'll say it straight up. And how he's represented his constituents here in the state of Colorado is just abysmal. And when this whole Tren de Aragua thing started, and I was running for Congress, it was a political. The media tried to make it political with me talking about all of these crimes that were happening. Mm-hmm. But I've served the government for 30 years before deciding to run for Congress. Like you said, I was a member of the United States Air Force. I was a federal agent for 26 years. I retired as the field office director for all of Colorado and Wyoming for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and made it up to the SCS level from a GS5 to an SCS, rose all the way up. And, I've been doing this, most of my adult life, fighting back against crime, working immigration related, federal laws. And Jason Crow said I was a liar. He said what I was talking about with Tren de Aragua was not true. he said that, it was all about innocent migrants who I was, making racial statements about, and none of that was true. I came out talking about criminals that were out there wrecking havoc on our community. And, that's what I'll continue to do. I will continue to talk about these criminals and make sure that we can get them off the street.
Yeah, indeed. And I don't care if you're a congressman or a woman that was in the military or not, a veteran. I could care less. Their job is to protect their constituents at a level, and in DC, the federal government has one job: keep you safe, and be somewhat responsible with tax-paying dollars, right? And we're not getting any of that. And, there's good veterans out there. There's bad veterans. There's veterans that are looking out for the good of the country. And then there's veterans that really aren't looking out for the good of the country. And exactly what's going on in Aurora right now, in the same district that you would have represented, this is your wheelhouse. This is everything that you specialize in, and I would consider you an expert in. Now, folks, we are being joined by John Fabbricatore, and I know we got right into this. You need to watch episode 263, okay? Watch episode 263. It was the first time I had John on, and this will paint a greater picture on just exactly what we're talking about right now. Now, that was on November 1st. That was just days away from the big election. Now, look, FY24 is probably going to go down as the craziest year ever. Literally the same year, 2024 fiscal year, October to October 25, is probably going to go down as the worst and the best year in American history, all in the same fiscal year. We were a thread pull away of losing our nation over here. And over here, I am so optimistic for our future. I mean, talk about bipolar in America.
Yeah, and I look at it right now and I see President Trump coming back into office. And I worked for the first Trump administration. I was actually a deputy chief of staff down at the border when all the caravans were coming up. So, proudly served under President Trump. But I've worked for many presidents. I started my career under President Clinton and worked through Bush and, worked through Obama and then President Trump, and then ended it with Biden, which was the worst way to end my career. I retired because of the Biden administration. So I retired at 50 years old. I had 30 years of service, was eligible to retire, but realistically, I could have gone a few more years and kept doing a great job that I really loved. I just could not sit in my seat up in the ICE office here in Centennial, Colorado, and give orders to the men and women that worked for me that I did not believe in. I am a firm believer in extreme ownership. I live my life to those values. And, I couldn't look them in the face and say, you've got to do this or shouldn't do this because this administration is breaking the law. And I decided the best thing for me to do was step aside. I got home and I was pissed off at myself for giving up. So I needed to do something else. And that's why I jumped in the congressional race.
You said a lot of folks left under Biden. A lot of people were getting out of the military. There wasn't people wanting to join the military. And there was people that were taking retirements to get out of this administration. Now, word is on the street that recruiting all of a sudden is going back up again. And when it comes to the military, it's like people want to serve under Trump that didn't necessarily want to serve under Biden because they saw the amount of chaos and pure insanity that was going on. I mean, I think back when he first took office, I'm like, how did we get through this? I mean, literally, like, how did we get through this? And it's been depressing, but like I said, man, I'm so happy that we're the beginning of the end of this horrible 4 years, and again on the road to recovery and the road to healing our nation, because we have taken a big hit here, and not just monetarily, but the men and women that work the border every single day, and the men and women that work hard on the streets, policing America, their hands have been tied. I mean, talk about completely breaking down one's morale, right? And rewiring them to go against the very Constitution that they are there to uphold and protect and defend. So I'm glad that we are going to start seeing all the morale and all that stuff start to head true north again, because it's really far south. And of course it's south, because that's where
yeah. Yeah, it's funny that you bring all that up, because I've been talking with a lot of people that still work with in the federal government, and people know that I'm talking to some people from the administration right now. So I've had so many retirees and people who left the agency reach out to me and say, "Hey, Fab, if there's any way that we can come back to work, will you please help us out and see if we can do that?" It's just amazing. Like, even today, I was getting texts on the phone and calls from guys and girls who have left over the last few years, and still they want to come back. They want to come back to do the job and serve under Trump. And it's just amazing to me. And I think we're going to see that uptick in our military. We're going to see pride in our military again. I mean, not that we lost the pride in our military, but things were getting a little bit too far to the left in some of the institutions of the military, and that's not what the men and women who were joining really wanted. And we're going to see it come back around, and we're going to see a lot of good things happen over the next few years. Look, we just have to keep our heels in the ground, though, because the left is not done. I was just on X. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib put something out that she wants people to rise up, resist, and fight. And I went on and I said, okay, so it's okay to say fight now, Ms. Tlaib? Like, the left, every time Donald Trump said fight, the left got all pissed off, like he was telling people to go out and riot. So I know what she meant by the word fight, but here she is using these words to, try to incite people. And, the whole thing is the left's not going to stop. They are not going to stop over these 4 years. And we have to have a plan going into this to be aware that they're going to come at us full bore. They're going to look at everything Donald Trump does, and if he makes the slightest misstep, they are going to be on the attack. And you just need to be rock steady in your convictions that this country can get better in the next 4 years, as long as we pull off the goals and vision that Donald Trump is putting forward. And we can do that. We just got to roll up our sleeves and get to work, man. That's what we got to do.
Roll up our sleeves and get to work. It's something I haven't heard for quite some time in this country, at least on the federal side. But speaking of rolling up your sleeves, is that a sweatshirt that you're wearing? Maybe you should have been a senator instead of a congressman. You're kind of putting off a Fetterman vibe there.
It's funny because I have my professional picture on X, and people have reached out and said, "Is this a Fetterman parody account?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not wearing a hoodie, and my name's Fabbricatore, not Fetterman." But yeah, usually I would wear a suit jacket and kind of a button down or something, when I'm on a podcast. But I've been running around like crazy today with the media and doing a bunch of stuff. I got home, threw on this hoodie, and then I'm sitting here staring at myself, and I'm like, he's gonna say something about the hoodie.
You know what? Look, at least Fetterman, although my politics do not align with his, at least he's honest about things.
Yeah.
And it seems like I can have a Republican position on some things. It's nothing wrong with that. Do you remember when Democrats and Republicans used to be great friends and they can agree to disagree and do the best job running the country? But again, it seems like one side has just become American and anti just like American pride and exceptionalism. Like, there's nothing wrong with being proud of your country.
You on the mark there. Like again, like you, I don't agree with everything that Senator Fetterman talks about. I mean, he's got some left views for sure, but he seems like the kind of guy that you could probably go have a beer with, throw a couple of darts, get into a conversation, and at least come away from that conversation thinking, maybe we can work on this. And we do need that. I mean, if we want to get some of Trump's agenda across, we're going to need people like Senator Fetterman to come across the aisle and say, I'm looking at this for what it is, and I'm going to make a decision. And I hope he's being truthful about that. I hope he's not just coming out and playing a spin game, and that he's really going to take a look at things and vote in line with what is the truth and not just what his party wants him to do.
Yeah. And I think he's done a good job on, after he got past his stroke and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's done a good job on coming out and just being himself.
Yeah.
Not, living and dying, by what others are telling him what to do and say.
I think he's finding his kind of strength in the Senate right now. He's finding who he is, and he doesn't seem like he's the kind of guy who's easily pushed around. So I think they may be having a little bit of a problem trying to control him. I don't think he's that guy.
Yeah, that's good. Or you could be Bill Belichick, I guess, and fully out of retirement. You can go coach some football.
Yeah. Go Broncos tomorrow. That's all I gotta say.
Bo Nix, baby.
Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Bo leave.
Bo knows, man. It's coming back to the old school days. Bo Jackson with that black and white poster. I mean, what kid didn't have that growing up?
Yeah, for sure.
So a couple of days ago, Monday night, and this is why I'm on the program, we finally get to the story at 18 minutes. There was a bunch of Venezuelan nationals that were part of the Tren de Aragua gang that basically did a home invasion, a kidnap, and they took folks to another place, to another apartment, and they literally tortured these people until a 911 call was put through and dispatched to the Aurora Police Department. I believe that they responded around 2 a.m. Monday night into early Tuesday morning to find what was going on there. Again, right in your same congressional district that you would have been serving. Yeah. How is this problem still going on in Aurora?
It's out of control. So, in August, I actually went to those apartment complex. Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky had reached out to me. She's an awesome conservative councilwoman here in Aurora. She reached out to me and she said, "Hey, John, I need you to come with me to help move this family out of this apartment complex. They're being threatened by Tren de Aragua, the gang that's here. And I need some guys to come." And I was one of the guys she called because she knows I carry all the time. So she called a bunch of guys who were all armed, who could go in there, move this family out, but weren't going to be afraid of anything that was going on in there, So we went in, we moved this family out really quick. I mean, I think we did it in like 2.5 hours, 3 stories from the top to the bottom, moved all their stuff out of the apartment, got it in a moving truck in the middle of the day and rolled out of there. Well, that family was the family that had filmed those videos of the Tren de Aragua gang coming up the stairwell with all their long arms, breaking into the apartment across from their apartment. So they released that video that same day, and it just hit the fan from there. But I was blamed by Jason Crow, by this governor, by a bunch of Democrat leftists who, said that I was making all this up, that it was just a conservative hoax for me to get votes in this district. And now last night, and they said this gang didn't exist, and none of these apartment complexes were taken over. And now last night, or Monday night into Tuesday morning, this Tren de Aragua struck again, and the same apartment complex, complex, struck again, kidnapped a husband and wife out of an apartment complex right there. There's 6 units in that complex. Kidnapped them, brought them over to another apartment, and viciously tortured them, where they removed the fingernails out of the woman's hands, stabbed the husband, beat them, pistol whipped them, and tried to extort them. Then, like you said, the 911 call came in, Aurora PD responded, and they made multiple arrests that night. And the police chief came out and said this was gang violence, and they took over this apartment complex. So here we are, full 360. This was an apartment complex takeover.
Yeah, some of the things that these folks have been doing is not only the gang violence, but human trafficking. Yes. The drugs, the movement of drugs, prostitution going on there in Aurora now that is being, brought to you in part by this transnational organization, as well as gun crimes. I mean, when these guys are captured, they're heavily armed. Heavily armed.
They all have guns, every single one of them. Every time Aurora PD has made an arrest, they have taken weapons off these guys. So, and just for viewers to be aware, just, as a point of interest, these guys love fanny packs. They're like these little European purses that they carry. and you'll see them, they kind of cross-sling it across their chest. They'll have it over shoulder. That's where they're keeping their firearms. So, if you're seeing something like that, just be cognizant for those of you out there that carry, head on a swivel. You see a guy walking up, with that fanny pack strung across, and, it's almost in a cross draw. They can open it up and come out pretty quick. So, just something to be aware of for anyone that's listening out there.
Just a few minutes before you came on, I just saw something come across Fox News that Aurora PD has now made 16 arrests from what happened on Monday night, early Tuesday morning in Aurora. It's as if the Aurora PD has taken a different position on how they are actually engaging with this criminal activity and this criminal gang now.
Yeah, and actually that number's gone up since you saw that release on Fox. So we're at 19 arrests since Tuesday morning. Wow. And that's not including the 6 that were initially arrested after that video came out of those guys going up the stairwell with the gun. So out of this apartment complex alone, we've got over 24 that have been arrested in this apartment complex alone. And just in that small area in Aurora, that northeastern area, there were another 4 arrested at another apartment complex just like less than a mile away. And then a few more arrested at another apartment complex. So Whispering Pines, Nome Street, and Dallas Street were the 3 different areas over here in Aurora. So, I was talking to somebody just before I came on your show, and we think from the numbers that we were counting that there's been over 30-ish arrests of Tren de Aragua gang members just in that small area. So me saying that Tren de Aragua had taken over various apartment complexes and were causing chaos in Aurora was not a lie, never a lie. And I feel a little bit vindicated. I hate saying that, knowing that people got hurt. No one should have got hurt, but it shouldn't have got to this. It shouldn't have been allowed to get to this if people would have listened and just gone and done this in August when I started talking about it.
For years, John, I started my podcast about 2 years and 3 months ago. Even before that, before I started my podcast, I said, what we're seeing right now, we're going to have lasting effects, and it's going to destroy who we are as a nation, the fabric of this nation. Our values are the core values on, what it feels like to be an American, all the, the education, the civics courses, the history, the traditions. Again, it's the values of being an American. Like we're losing that. And I could see all this taking place with all of this illegal immigration that was coming across the southern border, bringing, guns, drugs, opioids, and everything else that's literally taken the lives of so many innocent Americans across this country. And one thing leads to another. You got increase in kidnaps and missing children and all these issues that are going on in the country. And it's just, my eyes couldn't be open wider than what they were. So when I started my podcast, I started engaging a lot with folks that were on the border and such. And I actually met a man who was helping deploy the buses that were going to New York and Chicago and Denver, and I think LA or whatever it was, all these sanctuary cities that they were busing these illegal aliens to, basically saying, here you go. Here's the NGO. They're going to issue you your credit card, your stipend, your shelter, everything that you basically need to succeed in this country, and at no cost to you. And, these folks were living in 5-star hotels, and they were kicking veterans even out of some of these apartment complexes. So I heard, from the grapevine, and it's just, I just can't believe what we have gone through and how it has been accepted by so many levels of government, from the federal level all the way down to, say, your city mayor.
Yeah, it really has. And it's gotten so bad that people just think of the politics. They don't think about the safety of the community. So even our mayor in Aurora was more concerned about protecting the image of the city than he was about solving the crimes that were being committed. And that's where we see a huge issue and where people have gotten away from things. And I've called for the resignation of that mayor. I've been blasting it on X today that I think he should step down. He's done a disservice to the community since the beginning of this by trying to say that this was all landlord and code violations at these apartments and these things were not going on. When I was able to see an email dump that had happened. There was a core request for records, and I went back and read through some of the emails at Aurora PD, and they had known about this gang since October of 2023. So they've known, this mayor has known, and for whatever reasons politically, they tried to keep this under wraps and not let this out because they didn't want it to affect the tourism. The tourists in this area. And to me, they're trying to get big business to come in. They're trying to get all these big box stores and all these other things to open up in this community. And it was like a bad 80s movie. Like you see these 80s movies where the mayor's hiding the crime because he's trying to get multi-million-dollar contracts from businesses to move in. But that's exactly what was happening. That's exactly why this whole situation got into play, because the politics here were more concerned with city image than they were with safety. And if it wasn't for Councilwoman Jurinsky, who was like, no, screw this, I'm going to out there, I'm going to go yell my head off about how bad this is until somebody listens to me. And she did a great job. That this is why she's a great councilwoman. And I was happy to kind of hitch my wagon to her when I was running for Congress, and together we were able to get the message out. And even though, the left came at us and said that we were liars, today they can't say that. And, what they said was conspiracy is truth today.
Right. And that's been like all over, the country, and it's like you can't make this stuff up. And a lot of this stuff, I don't care. To me, it is unforgivable on what a lot of these elected officials have done from all over the country, and especially in Washington, D.C. It's just absolutely unforgivable. And, that's how I'll always remember these last 4 years. And if I had one word, it would be unforgivable, because I love my country and I always put America first. And that's how every American, especially an elected official that takes an oath of office, should be feeling as well. But let's face it, this is a federal problem right now that's going on in Aurora that's kind of just caught fire. Now it's this blazing, inferno wildfire that you're losing track of. Now, this Aurora mayor is on record saying, yeah, we're not going to do any deportations or anything like that. Tom Homan, the incoming secretary, said, dude, I just want to let you know we're coming in there with or without your permission. And we can do this two ways.
Yeah.
You can allow me to come in and we can work together as a team to eliminate the threats and to make your streets and your city a safer place for the citizens and the constituents of Aurora. Or I'll just arrest you on federal charges and just haul you down to jail. So you got a decision to make here, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, and it's actually two mayors. So it's the mayor of Denver is the one who's been really going off, and that's Mayor Johnston. And upcoming border czar Tom Homan said, "Hey, we will prosecute you under 8 USC 1324." The mayor in Aurora, who I mostly deal with, is a Republican, supposed to be a Republican. But he came out in 2018 against Trump, lost his seat to Jason Crow. So he was the congressman before Jason Crow as a Republican, lost his seat to Democrat Jason Crow, refused to support Trump, still refuses to support Donald Trump, didn't even appear when President Trump came out here for a rally. you know, if he may call himself a Republican, he's not. He's a horrible Republican if he is really a Republican. And again, I've called for his resignation. I think he should step down, or just, you know what, change that R to a D and just let's admit who you are. And you know, at least then, you know, you can do exactly what you're doing now without embarrassing the rest of us Republicans.
Yeah. Now, what would the actual charges be against the mayors of Aurora and Denver if they do not cooperate with Mr. Holman? Would it be like a harboring?
Yeah, it's under 8 USC, United States Code 1324. So if anyone out there wants to look at that, and it basically just says you cannot harbor, conceal, hide any illegal alien from the federal government, and it lists all of the charges. And I mean, it's all the way up to you know, a long-term imprisonment and or death in some cases. So I mean, there's even the death penalty in there if there's a crime that you can connect 1324 to that includes an actual death. Like if you're, say, alien smuggling and an alien dies and while you're smuggling them, you could be prosecuted under 1324 and then receive the death penalty. So yeah, because it's a federal charge. So yeah, 1324, look it up. It's an interesting charge to look through. You know, it pretty much says, you know, you can do these things or even talk about doing these things, and you could possibly be prosecuted for it. So Tom Homan has said he's going to use that charge. So mayors beware. Other people who are out there, some of these NGO organizations who think that they're going to link arms and stand there and keep the federal government from you know, arresting illegal immigrants, beware, because we can arrest United States citizens. So, you know, ICE agents normally are only looking for foreign-born, but we have the you know, authority to also arrest you if you're breaking a federal law. So beware.
Wow. Imagine being arrested for not following the laws of the land.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, it's become such a joke that, look, there's no more credibility out there to be had. The American people like me, like, look, I'll give it to you straight. If they come out and they tell me something, I'm not going to believe them. They've lost all credibility. If they tell me that there's nothing to be worried about with all of these drones being flown over New Jersey, I'm going to say, prove it to me. Yeah. I don't believe you.
Look, but as a free person, you need to do that. I mean, Tally, yeah. even you have in this program. I mean, this is a freedom. This is a constitutional freedom of yours. You get to have this program. You get to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And, you know, you get to put the word out. You are the media now, Tally. So, you know, you get to come out and say, like, we don't trust you, government. We don't trust what you're throwing down, because you've shown to us that we can't trust it. But that's okay. That's what Americans are supposed to do. Like, we should be questioning. We shouldn't be sheep. You know, there's a level of questioning, you know, and we should want answers. But, you know, it's not wrong. It's not wrong to say that, you know, hey, show me the truth. Show me what's happening. This is what my tax dollars go to. Right. This is what we want as taxpayers. This is what we voted for en masse. So, yeah, man, it's what we should be doing.
You know, and so much power, you know, has gone unchecked for such a long period of time. And we all know that power breeds corruption. And that's where scandals and all that stuff happen. But what I say is far more dangerous than that. When you lose trust and confidence in the folks that are governing you, and they're not being upfront and honest with you and transparent, that citizen is going to draw its own conclusion. They're going to come up with their own reasons. And this is how conspiracy theories start.
Yeah.
The government is not truthful with the people. And again, transparency is very important here. This is a big trust factor in the country that has been lost. And it takes a long time to get that back. And this is why so many people go out there and they pass what could be a false statement, because they don't know. So if they don't know, they're going to make up what they think is happening. And unfortunately, we have so many people in this country that are easily influenced that will pick that up and run with it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what was happening. I mean, you're right again. You leave those openings, and people are going to fill it with whatever they believe. So, again, I practice extreme ownership. One of with extreme ownership is communication, and if I believe the government would communicate with the American people better and let us know what's going on, things would be better. I mean, there wouldn't be a lot of these conspiracy theories, and and we could say, oh, all right, okay, we understand why you, the government, put drones up in the air to go looking for something that might be out there, because you're worried about us and you want to keep us safe. Yay! All right, this is what we pay our American tax dollars for. But when you hide that fact, and we're going to fill it with whatever's in our head. So just come out, communicate to the American people. Make sure we understand what you want and need from us, and we will stand by you. But when you lie to us, we're going to let you know.
Yeah, look, life is hard. It's hard for all of us. I get it. So throw something more on our plate. We can handle it. If it's something that we need to be made aware of, if it's a national security threat, let's just be honest, be upfront. The truth hurts sometimes.
Yeah.
North Korea, this is the United States of America. Start treating us like we're citizens of this great nation, instead of prisoners, if you will, in our own country.
Absolutely.
Look, Cindy Romero, she's the kind gal that that's also been on the podcast. That her husband, Mr. Romero, they're the ones responsible for all that footage, and they did an honorable thing, a great thing. They really exposed us, and
two great people. Yeah, they really are.
You can see the optics. Like, hey guys, this is what's going on. Don't be gaslit into believing something that's not. This is it. Look, I'm showing you. It's on a plate. Here it is. Come down here and look at it with your own eyes. Yeah. And they gave us that inside look at what was going on. And I can tell you, this could have easily swayed this presidential election.
Well, I think it helped with this presidential election. I mean, I think President Trump, used, what happened in Aurora in a lot of his campaign speeches. I'm not saying that's why he got elected, but I mean, it was a talking point.
Yeah.
And, Cindy and Ed Romero, I mean, they're just two really good, hardworking people who, are just trying to get by and had lived in this apartment complex. They were one of the last U.S. citizens to leave that apartment complex. That apartment complex is 100% illegal alien, migrants, squatters at this point in time. The management company has not received a check from anyone that's living in that apartment complex or any money from anyone that's living in that apartment complex since before October. So, it's squatters living in those apartments now. So, this is, they exposed it. They filmed it. They had like 100 hours of footage. I mean, we haven't even seen all the footage that they have. They have footage of gang members having shootouts in the parking lots. Their cars, Ed's and Cindy's cars, have bullet holes in them. Imagine parking. They had a fairly new vehicle, parking it in the parking lot, coming out the next morning, and there's 4 bullet holes in your car when you come out to go to work. I mean, that's how violent this area was. It was, we're talking about wild, wild west. It was. And I've talked to neighbors around there. One lady who had lived there since 1960, just a wonderful older woman. And she was scared to be in her own house. She's like, this is, she's like, I call the police. I tell them that they're out here shooting guns. She's like, every night I hear gunshots. I hear tires squealing, people yelling at each other, and the police don't show up for hours. So these were the neighbors in that neighborhood were locked. It was like, again, like a movie. They would lock their homes up at night and not come out until sunup. It was like, some horror movie where as soon as the sun goes down, you needed to board everything up and hide in your own home because you weren't safe if you left.
Let me tell you about Patriot Homes right here in the greater Houston metropolitan area, folks. These guys are out doing the hard work. It's kind of hard to please people in today's world, but let me tell you, Cody Dawson and his family business stand behind everything they do.
Custom kitchens, bathrooms, master bathrooms, whole home renovations, outdoor patios, home additions, outdoor kitchens.
They are your one-stop shop for everything that you want to do in your home. It's always nice to know that you got somebody that can come in and give you a great price. Not only give you a great price, but be on time, on budget, reliable. All you got to do is just go to patriothomestx.com. That's patriothomestx.com. They are building your vision with pride and precision. You described that of them being the last U.S. citizens out, like they were living in an embassy in Beirut, Libya.
That's what it was. It really, really was. They were the last ones that were. So a younger man had moved out one day before them. Cindy and Ed were the last holdouts in that apartment complex. Yeah.
I mean, imagine the anxiety that you're going through there. I mean, literally having this massive transnational criminal organization operating right in your home, and you see nothing but gang activity and the violent video interaction that they had with their neighbors. To my knowledge, that man is no longer even with us.
Yeah,
their neighbor.
Yeah, I mean they killed the video that they have of those guys coming up the stairwell. They killed a man just minutes after that video aired. I mean, that video was taken. They shot him outside. They chased him, shot him out in the parking lot. It was just a bad situation there for them. I don't know if Cindy showed you the video of the locks on her doors, the amount of locks. So she had Ed add extra locks to the door. So I think they had 4 deadbolts. And then like this bar that would go up from the floor to the doorknob and like apply pressure to the door so it couldn't be kicked in. And then they had something like 7 cameras that they had put up to catch video. Just God forbid anything happened. They had reinforced their door. I mean, it was incredible that's what they dealt with every night. Ed would get home from work. They would lock everything down. And they would hunker down in that apartment until the sun came up the next day and Ed had to go back to work.
Why has Aurora been such a safe haven for Tren de Aragua?
It's Aurora, especially under Councilwoman Danny Jurinsky, they're trying not to be a sanctuary city, but there's nothing that they can really do because the state is a sanctuary state. So all the laws in the state of Colorado that were passed to kind of coddle illegal immigration were passed in the state house. So there's really nothing these individual cities can do. Some of the home rule cities are trying to sue right now to see if they can get out of that. But right now, the state makes this a sanctuary state. Denver was taking in thousands of illegal immigrants. And then when they ran out of room, they just pushed them over the border right to Aurora. Aurora butts up right to Denver. There's this corridor, Colfax corridor. They were sending them down Colfax. And, these people were just going into Aurora. And again, you had politicians here, the city manager, the mayor, a few people on the city council, especially the left-leaning ones, who tried to hide this again, because I believe it's my belief, in my opinion, that there's a lot of technology coming in. We have a huge hospital that was built, the Anschutz Medical Science Center, that was built off of Colfax, and they're trying to get more of that to come in. And if they show what's going on in those neighborhoods, those don't come. You don't get these, billion-dollar projects coming into your community when your community has gang members running around ripping fingernails out of people's hands. So, and cutting people's fingers off. There was a case, just a couple of weeks ago where the Tren de Aragua actually cut a man's fingers off. You don't get that. So you try to hide that. And I believe that's what they tried to do. There was a former police chief that was here. She tried to just sweep everything under the rug because she knew she was leaving. The police chief before. So Aurora had 6 police chiefs in 5 years. That's how bad the situation was. 6 police chiefs in 5 years. Wow. And now we finally have a new police chief, Chief Chamberlain. He came from LA. He seems to be an old school LA cop. To me, he's doing a better job. I just hope he continues to do that. He's the one who's been releasing a lot of this information that they've actually arrested these guys, where the old police chief wouldn't do that. So, I mean, I'm hoping we've turned the corner here in Aurora, but it's still not over. We've got to get this gang eradicated and out of the area.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I watched that press briefing that press conference with the chief of police yesterday. He seems like a no-nonsense guy. Like, I am in here to do a job, and by God, I'm going to do it. And if that means not having you as a friend, well, guess what? I'm not going to have you as a friend. I'm not in here to make friends. I'm in here to do my job and the duty of my constituents and of my city to keep it safe. That is my job, and I am the top cop here in the city, and I will ensure that to my fullest power that I can. And with that being said, has President Trump or Tom Homan reached out to John Fabbricatore, because this is all in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
You're an expert at this. Have they reached out to you to get your thoughts, opinions, and what your mission strategies would be on the deportation of these criminal aliens when Operation Aurora starts?
Well, President Trump definitely has not. He's got way too much on his plate. But I worked for Tom Homan. Tom came out here for my campaign, held a rally for me. I've always thought he was a good boss when I worked for him. He was a no-nonsense cop. He says what he means. I have talked to him. He has asked me about various things. I can't get into some of that. Sure. But he has reached out. That's the kind of leader that he is. He's that kind of guy that, if he doesn't know the lay of the land, he's going to find somebody that does. And he knows that I do. So, we've had that conversation, and I believe he's going to be on Laura Ingalls tonight on Fox. So I'm hoping that he gives a little boost to Aurora tonight when he's on Laura, and lets the people of Aurora know what's going on, and that help is on its way.
The lay of the land, especially in Colorado, where you got some topography there. A couple little mountains,
a couple little hills. Yeah,
love it, man. Look, dude, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you're a very busy guy, and you're doing a lot of these interviews, and then you're a boots on the ground guy. You're out, trying to make your city and that district that you're in better. Even though you're doing it for the good of the country, and it probably feels all that much better, that you are out there still doing the job and still effectively engaging with those citizens that you call home. And that's extremely honorable. That's a very honorable thing to do. And, with that, I'm thankful and grateful to not only call you a friend, but also a podcast guest.
Thank you. And really, thanks for helping me out. Thanks for putting me on your podcast during my campaign. You and I have talked back and forth since then. I think you're an outstanding guy. And hey, look, we both took an oath when we were young men to serve this country, and that oath doesn't go away. And I take that very highly, and it means a lot to me. And I've continued that oath through my law enforcement career, and I will continue it to the day I die. So I will stand up for America, until I'm no more. So thank you, Brian.
Your dedication and your commitment, it shines through that bald grape of yours.
I appreciate you, brother. All right, man. It was good to be on the show.
Don't take it personal, my friend.
I don't. If I had Tarzan hair like you, it'd be swaying in the wind, brother. Believe me.
I've never had hair before. This is the longest my hair's ever been in my life. I think I'm going through a midlife crisis or something.
I'm going to come on your show in a wig one time and just long locks, and you're going to not know what's going on.
Dude, J Fab, you're so cool, man.
You have
yourself a good evening, buddy.
Yeah, you too, Brian. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Well, folks, there you got it. Gotta love the ending, right? My good buddy, John Fabbricatore out of Aurora, Colorado. He's been playing a monumental role there and trying to clean up the streets of Aurora and help eradicate the problems that have come in and infiltrated the city and the surrounding areas of Aurora, Colorado, with the Transnational Criminal organization by the name of Tren de Aragua. And he will be playing a part of Operation Aurora. I sincerely believe it because he's too qualified. He's so qualified for what will be going on in and around the city of Aurora and really the whole country. It's called Operation Aurora because that's kind of like where the idea came from. But this is going to be an operation that is going to be from sea to shining sea. So don't get that twisted. And John Fabbricatore could play a big role in this because this is his wheelhouse. He worked for Tom Homan. This guy's been a part of the federal government for over 30 years and left under the Biden administration. So he is back and he has dug his boots in. He ran for Congress. Yes, he lost, but he put his hat in the ring and he's still there and he's still playing, the role, if you will, of a member of Congress in a city that needs leadership right now, because the congressman in that city is not engaging with this criminal organization. He's really just not doing anything about it. He's not speaking about it. He's not commenting about it. He never showed up to the apartment complex to view it. He never showed up to get a tour. I mean, if this was going on in my congressional district, I would want to know what's going on, because again, this is federal stuff coming in through here. It came in through the southern border, federal, and now they've set up shop and planted their flag right there in Aurora, and it needs to be stopped. It's got to end. Too many Americans are getting terrorized. Folks, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the program. It has never been easier to listen to this podcast. We are on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. We're even on X. Simply search Today with Tally. It should populate, and you can go like, share, and subscribe. Also, learn more about me, my personal story, and perhaps even get my new book over at BrianTalley.com. That's BrianTalley.com. There's a good read, a little inspirational read, some encouragement for folks that might be going through some hard times or might need a little pick-me-up, some resilience, some perseverance. Know that you're not alone out there. And always just stand up and fight for what's right, even if you're standing alone. And I know these last 4 years, folks like John have been standing alone in communities like Aurora, but they are no longer standing alone, folks. They are no longer standing alone. And that's perseverance. And that is doing the right thing when nobody is looking. When everything is going against you, when the deck has been completely stacked against you. And folks like John have proven their warrior mentality is still very much alive and well in the United States of America. Folks, remember to stay inspired, stay encouraged, stay motivated, and always stay in the fight. Until next time for the Today with Tally podcast, this is Brian Talley. Good night. Semper Fi. God bless.